I'm picking up where I left off yesterday. Was talking about, though I suppose to you it won't matter whether it was yesterday or not. Was working through the first couple prompts. I think actually I went through the first 10, starting with things like backpack, discovery, or discover, boots, exotic, and working through my planning for Inktober. Yesterday, and again, that doesn't really matter, but I went through the 10 first prompts. So I'm going to start dissecting and just thinking about the next couple prompts. No guarantees how far I'll get. So 11, snacks. Oh, that could be a lot of fun things. 12, remote. Okay. My brain immediately goes to the thing I use on my television, but I think we'll use remote as being isolated. 13, horizon. I'm going to do that with some longing, a sense of desire. So I know it'd be really easy for horizon to just have an illustration where I've got my character, Andorra, looking at the horizon in the distance, maybe with the sun going down. That would be a really easy solution, but I think that what we identify with in a scene like this is these two things. The longing, the desire. It's not really the beauty in, at least a black and white drawing. It's going to be something else. 14, Rome. I think I might have talked about that one yesterday. 15, guidebook. Don't really have anything for that right off the bat. 16, grungy. We'll stop there for now, I think. Okay, so snacks. Well, at some point in this journey, Andorra is going to find her buddy. She's going to find her little squid companion. And I think that would be a fun thing to play with for snacks, because with her, I could do something where she's packing up snacks before she's leaving for her journey. But again, I don't think it's going to be a journey that she's 100% aware of. She's going to be packing up her backpack, as I discussed in the prior session, and heading into the underground, trying to work on this primordial clock. But the actual journey where the clock kind of teleports her, wow, she looks really short there, is not going to be something that she anticipated. So I don't think that's quite going to work. But if we have her little buddy, we'll try to have turn towards her, although that will make it a little difficult, who is a squid. Essentially, it's an elemental, but it takes the form of a squid. And this is Golan, who I've been drawing and messing with for a long time. And yesterday, while I was on my way to my writing group, I came up with a name for. So Golan is a squid, which means he has 8 arms and 2 tentacles. The tentacles, I'm not going to draw all of them here because it's not really essential. The tentacles are usually wider, and sometimes I get the arms and tentacles backwards, but octopus has 8 arms, and then a squid has those 8 arms, but it has 2 tentacles too, which have these pads on them with suckers. So Golan is small at this point in time, and he's this little critter, I think it's a he, doesn't really matter, that Andorra runs into in the depths and becomes her buddy. So for snacks, I think it'll probably be him getting excited about something and then eating it. Though I don't really know how he eats since he's an elemental. So maybe he's snacking on something like ice or crystals, or I don't know. It might be kind of fun for him to grab one of those bugs from yesterday. I'll move this up a little bit. That might be showing up in the exotic prompt. And then you could have the bug like super surprised as, you know, I guess the wings would have to fold back. But we got the tentacle kind of wrapping around here. And then could be taken. So this might be one of those things that could be done in like several frames. Where you could have Golan kind of being here and tentacles. And then you could even have like some lightning kind of coming from his tummy like he's upset. Expression could be like... It's hard to do expressions when you have a single eye, I find. If you guys have tips for that, that'd be great. Because, you know, you get something like that. You get something like this, which is grumpy. You get something like this, which is like ambivalent. But how to make it scared and those kind of things is a little bit different. Do I add things on there? Nope. Now it just doesn't read as anything. So that's what a lot of this sketching is just figuring out like what makes sense and how things fit together. So I could do this with multi-frames. I love how I started this and was going to go 3 down, and then I put the eyes in the way. So you could do that as like number 1. Could do the little buggy flying away from us over here. That's panel 2. Panel 3 could be this, the bug reel getting wrapped, being terrified maybe. I don't know if I want to give it eyes and give it personality. And then you could have 4 be Golan again, perhaps, with his 2 arms kind of feeding in. And you could have a crunch. But that would have to tie in with, do elementals eat normal things? They're elemental beings. So that's, I don't know, that's kind of a plan for Snack. You could also have, you know, a 5th panel where he, you know, throws up. And maybe some of these panels could be used for different prompts if I was to go that route. This would be kind of a funny page for the children's book. I wonder if there's another prompt that I could use for, like, throwing it up later. Grungy, perhaps? Looking through all the prompts right now. But I don't see any other that really fit that, so I don't know. That's an idea for Snacks. Let's come over here and let's think about remote. And that, to me, just screams of having a big page. I guess my pages are going to be rectangular. And probably 2/3 of the image through, just having this tiny little image of her and her floating buddy. Probably a piece right after Rome. I'll label these because though my memory is good, I don't always remember everything. We could have something like this where we have a piece that is Rome, maybe on the prior page. And then we just get this shot that's super remote. I kind of like these vertical lines. I didn't intend for them, but that'd be kind of cool if they're like pillars, like giant pillars. I don't necessarily want the whole underground to be this, you know, stalactites, stalagmites. So I think, you know, let's think about this. Locations, underground. We have the cave at first. Then we have the, we'll call it the Mushroom Kingdom. Or I'm just going to write Mushroom Area. But then I think we have old ruins. And that would be something cool to do with this. Where there's these like gigantic things. Stuff hanging. But it just feels very remote. There's nothing right around them. Or maybe the space is so big that these 2 tiny characters just feel very isolated in it. So remote will be good for that. And then horizon, let's flip to a new page. Let's think about horizon. Sorry about all the noises. I have a tendency to sit on my foot. I sit with my left leg underneath me, and then eventually it falls asleep. So I've also adjusted my stance now, so I'm at a weirder angle with the drawing, and that's probably part of the reason I sit that way. So I'm gonna raise my chair real quick. Ah, that's better. I need to get a better drawing desk at some point, but this is what we got, so I make do. Really would prefer like just a table. I think horizon is probably going to be a whole piece. So we had the one I was just playing with, which was remote, and I think horizon's probably going to be a similar type of image. It would be so easy just to do this, like I mentioned earlier, you know, like a cliffside kind of thing. And I almost mentioned it in like a mocking way, but this would be a really good way to do it. To have her just sitting on the horizon and watching the sun go down. Maybe this doesn't happen underground. Maybe this is an earlier scene. This could be a scene that shows discontent. Like she's just not happy being on the surface world. It feels like things are too simple. It's not exciting. I'm going to have to write some of this down. Early on. So maybe this could be something after the shenanigans. Okay, so if that's the case, then we're not going to do like this. We're going to do something a little different. Like, okay, so the sun sets. Got to think about this. Sun sets in the west from where she lives. Yeah, from where she lives, she would actually be able to pair out over the ocean. Okay, so what if we had her on top of a building? You know, so, that could be really cool. Like we could do like the spire of the cathedral that they have in Spirac. And what if we did something like this? You notice I often will go outside the boundaries or readjust them. Like none of that matters. All of this is just sketching to figure out what makes sense and what I like. So we're going to have her like arm hanging out this way. She's going to be dangling down, her legs both kind of leaning against the side. And I think maybe here we'll have her holding her hat, so she doesn't actually have her hat on. Maybe we're holding her hat and her staff simultaneously, which I haven't done, I don't think, very much. I always keep the hat on, probably because it's a nice three-dimensional object. It allows you to tell whether you're under or above her. But this could be kind of fun too, because we could have her hair blowing in the wind, her braids kind of blowing. So this could be a lot of fun. And then I don't know where the horizon line is going to be best here. If it's going to be best low, like that, or if it's going to be best kind of high. Not high, I don't think. Okay, so we want to have it low, and we could do something like this, where we could do the edge of the continent, maybe a couple more spires poking up from her city. And then you could do the sun going down. So it's like her up on the top of a building. This is not a good sketch, but I do think that the idea is solid. Like this would be something that I could work with for Horizon, right? That's where we are. So I like that idea. All right, we're jumping to Rome now. And what did we think about with Rome? I feel like I thought about that a little bit. Rome, I just listed it there. I had it listed here on the prior days. Okay, so let's think Rome. And it's definitely R-O-A-M, not Rome, R-O-M-E. That could be something else. Okay, so to me that has like Rome has to be in the underground because it's this area she doesn't know. And it might be really cool to have this be like a cutaway scene, one that doesn't necessarily have hard borders. And I like the idea of shooting upward. We have her kind of looking up at things and surprised. Do her ear there. Hair poofs. Kind of have it be big. Oh yeah, so this would be, okay, so I'm gonna work with this for just a second because that reminded me of something. Like this leg is coming towards us, which means this leg is smaller, but it's also further back. Legs. So that gives the illusion of her walking forward towards us. Gonna have an arm down here holding her staff. However we decide to do that, I'm gonna have to work on the three-dimensionality of that and how I want to do it. And then I like the idea of back behind her having a mushroom. And again, we'll have to work on like where my horizon line is to make this function. And probably just that's all dark. Another mushroom back here, lighter, but still giving us the notion of where we are, and then something here to kind of obscure the foreground. So this is like walking down in and amongst all of the mushroom stuff. So yeah, that would be fun. I think that'll work. Obviously, I'll need to get kind of a little bit more sketchy with it later, but this will be sufficient for now. Guidebook. Does she find one? Or does she build one? Is this after she's stuck in the underworld? Or is this something that... yeah, I don't know. It could be a book that she like steals early on that lets her know what the runes are that are on the giant primordial clock. That might be something that would be beneficial, but I do not know. Because you could easily do something where she walks in and she, being a little girl, oh man, yeah, how would the perspective on that hat work? Could have her before like this gigantic bookshelf. Except perspective-wise, that's not how it would go, right? It would be looming the other direction, so it'd be more like this. These sketches, I know I'm mostly talking about what I'm working on, but these sketches are super, super loose. And I think it's really important as you're working through something like this. Like, don't care about how precise these kinds of things are. Like, that's not your job right now. Your job is to find what excites you, what makes sense, what answers the questions that you're working on. And if you're too worried about the precision of a sketch, then you're gonna hold yourself up. So something like this might work a little bit better because it feels like that bookshelf is just this massive looming thing. And I think the image would probably be like that. That could be something for guidebook, but that's probably more... Yeah, that's going to be something a little bit different, I think. But it's not a bad idea to work through. I've got the guidebook up here that I sketched. And... yeah, I don't know. I don't know. What day is guidebook? 15? Okay, so I have over a month to figure it out. It's September 6th right now. I'm going to skip that one right now because I feel very little about it and I don't want to waste my time. And I suppose, since you are listening, I don't want to waste your time either. All right, Grungy is next. All right, I think Grungy could be a lot of fun. I think for Grungy, maybe we just go... like, she's found herself just, like, absolutely covered in filth. Hair's kind of going all weird. Legs are up. Try to keep that from being a, awkward situation for her with her skirt. Is she just like sitting here? I don't remember if the shading goes above the eyes or below the eyes to get that like horror thing, but again, not the point right now. Stuff that I can figure out later. I like the idea of her hat being mucked up, like maybe at some point introducing the idea that there's something special about her hat. So she's sitting here, and I think you just have her be like dripping, like she's super muddy. Like there's stuff dripping off her hat. Like she's super grungy, right? And very dirty. There's stuff stuck on her hat. And maybe, if she has Golan with her, we just see the tentacles kind of coming out. And Panic coming from over here. Her staff's just like sticking out of the muck. But she's just like super distraught. And I'll play. I haven't, at least for a while, done much in the way of character work, so this is going to be really good practice for me to remember / learn how to draw characters. I don't know what it is, but that hat just like makes so much sense. So this would be Grungy. So I think this is probably after a fall. And do we have anything else that's going to be able to be used for a fall? Yeah, I mean lots of things. Oh, I have Ridge. 19 is Ridge. So what if she's on like... a ridge is more like this, isn't it? Like... It's not an edge. Ridge and edge are not the same thing, are they? I'll look up synonyms and see that because, but she could be on a ridge and then trip and fall and end up, grungy. So maybe that's something to like think about. All right, so let's go on to 17. Journal. And let's think about journal for a moment. I think this is probably going to be something that belongs to the head wizard. That makes me think, is there a difference between guidebook and journal? They're kind of the same. Do I want to just overlap them? I probably easily could. I don't see any reason why not. Well, so a journal could be a guidebook, but they're different things fundamentally. With where she's going, I'm not sure that it would be something that she would be able to... Yeah, you know, the books are just like not interesting to me right now, so I'm skipping it. I'll come back. I'll work on it later. Or sub it out. I might. Okay, so drive, which I always say as drive with a J because I don't pronounce the DRs well. But drive, obviously, like we think of cars, which I'm very bad at drawing, but it's just sometimes it helps my mental processes to draw the things as I'm talking about them and discussing them. Look at this awful car. Yay. I am proficient at drawing some things, I promise. This is like... You know what? This just looks like the Tesla truck, so maybe I'm not all that bad. But, you know, cars are what comes to mind when I think of driving. But... Can you drive a dragon? Can you drive... Do you drive a horse when you're on a horse? I don't know. But for me... Ambition. I'm not very good at spelling. I think it's an I-O-N on the end. Ambition is kind of what I think of when I'm thinking of drive. So we're probably thinking about... Well... It could be Andora's drive. So we could have something where she is very happily explaining something. Very Calvin and Hobbes way of drawing her. A lot of the way that I draw Andorra, by the way, is based off of a mixture of Calvin and Hobbes and the Julia books, I believe by Ben Hatka. I don't know exactly how to pronounce his name. I will link him in the video, and you'll see it immediately. It's not a one-for-one. Like, I've done a lot of work from trying to figure out how he draws things, and basically, it's part of the reason why I talk about the importance of copying other artists is... You learn how they simplify things, because most of drawing is just simplifying and trying to figure out how other people handle the same issues that you're handling. And so I've worked from a lot of his work in the past to try to figure out, like, how does he draw little girls? Because I have a little 5-year-old girl. And so as I'm working on drawing stories like this, and thinking about animation and all that kind of stuff. Not worrying about the hands at this moment. I want to see how other people do it. So this is not excited enough. But this idea of her sitting there and very excitedly, like, throwing her arms wide and explaining something she's really happy about is, I think, what I want to do. And I think easily I could have her... I think probably have her not centered. Her eyes flung very wide. A very excited face. And then have this, like, almost thought bubbly, giant, oppressive thing. And if we have other people here, it's actually... like pushing in on the other people where they're like pushing against it because her ambition, her ideas, her desires, her drive is like pushing down on the other people. That would be kind of a fun way to do it. How do I make her like super happy? have to do lots of studies because that looks really bad. I think it's going to be kind of that half moon shape. It's going to start to give me that facial structure the way I want it to. It feels very Peanuts in how it's how it's drawn. So definitely gonna have to work on like how I illustrate that she's really happy. I don't do a lot of character drawing, so this is a good chance for me to do that. So this might be fun for ambition and could even have a line that says something like, you know, and Dora had ideas, big ideas. So this would be the image here. This could be kind of text up above, which would be fun. All right, so that's kind of thinking through Drive. Ridge was one we already kind of thought about. That's number 19. So, write that up there. I don't know that there's another one that would do that, but we could have kind of an underground mountain range, or the grungy fall could be something that happens earlier. Could have her walking along the ridge. Could even have like this be one of those images where you've got multiple versions of her. Or like here, she's climbing up. Hand over fist. You know, leg up in front, pushing another one, kind of hanging back. So she's like climbing up onto the ridge. You have her walking happily over here. You have her in the far distance holding her staff. And then that could be kind of the image on a whole page. And then on the following page, so you have like this, you know, figure 1, figure 2, figure 3. This could be her feet. And you get like a crawl sound effect. You get a crack. And then here you could just get her like, you get text. Her horrified face, looking down. And then you could do the next page, the next 2-page spread. Could be her falling. I don't know how I would illustrate that. You could do another 3-part like this, where she's falling off the mountain. And like all 3 pieces of her are lost at this point. You could have text kind of coming out this way. Like, ouch, bonk, crunch. And then this piece could be grungy. Yeah, I'm happy with this pursuit. I think that this will work well. I'm going to stop there. That's stopping on number 19, full well understanding that I haven't really worked on guidebook or journal, but that's still 17 that I've kind of thought about. So I'll come back. I'll do probably 2 more of these to get through the rest of them, and then I think I'll do a finalized one where I'll probably do some work outside of this and try to arrange them in order and then be able to go. But I hope that this has been beneficial for you, whether you're working on something like Inktober or you're just starting to kind of think through a story or a comic. Sometimes it can be really beneficial to just sketch out your ideas, move things around, think about the placement, how they're going to be, articulated and put together. So Thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out. Have a good one, y'all. See you soon.